Ooh.
And even updated for this week. Ooh, look at
I can't wait to add the sound effect in post.
Yep.
Now, when we fought, you had that eye of the tiger, man, the edge. And now you got to get it back. And the way to get it back is to go back to the beginning. You know what I mean?
The worst thing happened to you that could happen to any fighter. You got civilized. Get out of here with you!
The truth is, we both started out on the same corner, and I got lucky with my life, and it's driving you nuts.
Philadelphia salutes its favorite son, Rocky Balboa.
Why don't you tell all these nice folks why you've been ducking me?
This guy is a wrecking machine.
You know, you got a big mouth.
Why don't you come out and close it, Balboa? Come on.
I want to fight this guy.
You fight him without me.
I'm the idiot, you're the screw-up, and we are all losers.
Now, 5 friends have one day to decide what to do with the rest of their lives. AJ loves Corey, not the whole story.
Today is the day that I'm gonna tell Corey how I feel about her. That I,
Love her.
Yeah.
Do you think that it's possible for someone to be in love with someone else and not even know it?
In this life, there are nothing but possibilities.
That is so sweet. I think I'm gonna barf.
Corey wants Rex first time at sex.
Hey, Rex, what happened to your hair?
I will offer myself to Rex Manning. I wish I could be brave. You are brave. I have to bring Rex his lunch.
I'm bringing Rex's lunch!
Mark's raging mad. Best day he's had.
Just like this!
Help me, help me, help me.
If I was in a band, they would not be doing this to me.
This Organized Chaos podcast is brought to you by listeners like you. Thank you. Hello and welcome to an Organized Chaos podcast. Once again, we're outdoing ourselves again. This is the very best episode of any podcast ever. Congratulations on your podcast choices. It's fantastic.
Yes.
As always, today I'm joined with Bobby Quarters, and Ryan from Nothing But Media is joining us as a guest. How are you guys doing?
Doing well.
Good, thank you.
Yeah. So we got some exciting movies to talk about today. We'll be talking about a Rocky movie that exists. We'll get into it. It's not one of the best ones, not one of the worst ones. It exists. It's Rocky 3.
I don't know.
And then we'll be talking about a couple movies I haven't seen in a while, namely Empire Records, and then The Fast and the Furious, the original 2001 classic, also known as Not Point Break. We'll be digging into those.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally not Point Break.
Yeah. It's a completely different movie. I don't know what you're talking about. One has Keanu Reeves. Get it straight. One.
The other, sadly, does not. It does have Buffalo Bob in it, though.
Yes, Buffalo Bill. Mm.
Buffalo Bill, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Bob was from Joe Dirt.
I haven't seen Joe Dirt. I know that's missing. Then my filmography just doesn't make sense anymore.
You haven't seen Child's Play. You haven't seen Joe Dirt.
Yeah. Sure.
Quality bits of Hollywood you're missing out on.
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen Gone with the Wind, but that's obviously on the queue after those ones.
Yeah, after, of course.
Yeah, come on. All right, so we got some news to dive into, though. So David Crosby, this one sucks, because like it wasn't surprising at all, because he's someone who's dealt with health issues his whole life, but
oh yeah,
it still sucks because he was a legend. But yeah, David Crosby passed.
Yeah, I know that he had said for like a while ago he was gonna not stop touring, and I know that he was just pretty much releasing albums, I think, or at least working on new music. Yeah, this one is kind of a bummer.
Yeah, like I said, it wasn't shocking, but it still sucks because he was a legend. I saw that he's worked with the Byrds, and I think there's another band he worked with. I don't remember. They're probably not noteworthy. So it's probably just Nash. Oh, was he a part of that one?
Crosby, Stills.
Yeah, I can't.
And when Neil Young joined them, they were Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. I actually had the chance to see Crosby, Stills, and Nash back in 2014.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, that was a really cool show.
Mm-hmm.
Really great show. Yeah, they all were on good point, and it is unreal to just like watch him as a player, like because I also play guitar, but just as a player to just be in the same room and watch him just do his craft was amazing. Like well worth the price of admission alone.
Ryan, do you have any thoughts towards Crosby?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's not really surprising. He was in his 80s, I think, wasn't he?
He was 81, and he's had health problems, but still.
And he lived quite a hard life in his 60s and 70s. But yeah, he's sort of one of those underrated figures in rock and roll, I think. Because of the bands he was in, he was never in the huge bands of the sort of that era. But he was always a part of like all of their stories, certainly of running the Laurel Canyon scene, which was a huge network of people. And I mean, I think he dated several of the women producing music at that time, and I know that his house was known as the place where you got the best drugs.
Yeah, I've heard similar statements about Crosby like that.
I thought he was straight edge, like most of the guys of that era.
Oh,
well, I think later in life, I think he was. I think he did.
He did.
He
cleaned himself up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think he took enough drugs for everybody. So.
Yeah, I know. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that I first really got into him after watching a documentary from about 20 years ago that the BBC made called Hotel California, From the Birds to the Eagles. I think it was a 10-part series that they did based on a book of the same title written by a music journalist called Barney Hoskins. And it really delved into absolutely every aspect of the Laurel Canyon scene from, I think, 69 to 73, which is considered the era, because it ends with when the Rolling Stones hired the Hells Angels to do the security at their gig, and people died as a result.
Altamont.
And it was such an interesting documentary to see how all of these people's lives were interwoven, and Crosby really was at the center of most of it.
No, that is something I kind of know. I've always known about Crosby. It always seems like you don't really see him at the center of a whole lot, but you see him like networking with a lot of people. I've always noticed. But yeah,
absolutely. I have seen that documentary that you were talking about, and yeah, you're right. It is a really great one, and it does cover like all of the bases from that entire time period. It is a really well put together one.
Because they released one recently just called Laurel Canyon. It's only two hours long, and it's good, but it didn't have me writing down the names of all the people involved to pick up their music.
Yeah, it didn't have me like with my notebook open writing down songs going, okay, I need to check that one out because I haven't heard that one before. And yeah, like that first one actually made me like go and search out some Linda Ronstadt, and yeah, she's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
That stuff is great.
And I mean, I bolstered my Neil Young collection, but I also got into the band and Graham Parsons and the Eagles, and obviously Crosby, Stills and Nash, and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and Buffalo Springfield as well. And it's just I mean, even people who you don't really necessarily associate with that sort of sound, people who are more poppy, like the Mamas and the Papas, or even a couple of guys from the Monkees who post Monkees, they got involved in that scene and pursued their own. Yeah, it's amazing how, like I said, Crosby was sort of the linchpin of that entire movement.
Yeah, absolutely. And I kind of feel like I'm like the layman here, because I'm like familiar with everything you've brought about, but like I can't go into details on like most anything. Like here, Buffalo Springfield, I'll tell you, is what I know about that band is that Neil Young is involved.
Well, to digress a little bit, the Stephen Stills and Neil Young, the way they met, because I think they were in Buffalo Springfield, and they became members of Buffalo Springfield because I think Neil Young was coming into LA, Stephen Stills was leaving LA, and they were both stuck in a traffic jam going in opposite directions. And they sort of got out their cars and were just talking to each other, and that's what convinced Stills to stay. I think I've got it the right way around, either that or the other way around. But
something like that,
yeah, it's incredible. And then they formed Buffalo Springfield and had a love-hate relationship for the next 60 years.
Yeah, him and the N and Graham Nash as well. Graham had a bit of a rocky history with David for years as well, but they always were somehow able to find some common ground with each other.
Because I didn't even realize till I watched that documentary that Graham Nash was in the Hollies.
I didn't know that. I didn't.
Came out of the Hollies because they weren't playing the kind of music that he wanted to play, and they weren't really letting him have input. And came to Laurel Canyon, and I don't think he married, but he certainly dated Joni Mitchell. I think it was for a long time.
Yeah, I think at one point, almost all of them had some sort of romantic relationship with her at some point. And I think it was between Graham, David, Stephen, and I think her and Neil have just been friends for years. I remember hearing something like that, but like a lot of it was Joni. They fought over her. Like Joni. Not saying that she was the cause, but they fought over her.
Well, I guess anything we want to add before we go into the next band, I guguess?
I think the last thing to say was he was also brilliant in his sporadic appearances in The Simpsons.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I mean, yes. he has had an acting career. He's had lots of cameos and lots of stuff, just random stuff. It was always cool just to see him.
Oh, yeah.
He was always out there fighting the good fight. He's sort of the last living hippie, I think.
Oh, for sure. Like, he there's sometimes misfire, but for the most part, his Twitter account was pretty awesome.
I remember one day he did a Ask Me Anything on his Twitter account, and somebody eventually, you knew the question would come up. Somebody asked him who had better weed, you or Jerry Garcia. And I think out of all the other stuff that he did, that was the quickest I saw him reply to it. And it was like, oh, Jerry. Jerry always had the best weed. And that's like always, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Why am I not surprised by that at all?
Yeah, you get that answer. It's like, that's exactly what I would expect.
Yeah, that's the answer I was looking for.
All right, so speaking of other bands, I can't believe this is an actual story, but we're good. We're doing a story now about how Pink Floyd changed their profile picture on their Facebook page.
I really hope a lot of these people are just trolls. I genuinely hope there are people who are that like clueless.
I would guarantee they're not.
I know.
There was a say that because there was a minor scandal in this country this week. Our current Prime Minister recorded himself speaking in a car. He was sitting in the back, but he wasn't wearing a seatbelt. and that is illegal for a passenger in the back of the car not to wear a seatbelt. So he's being investigated. Eventually, the police are investigating. But in order to sort of get one over on the opposition, somebody posted a picture of the leader of the opposition not wearing a seatbelt while in a car. The only problem was it was a still picture, which means you couldn't tell if the car was moving, and it didn't take you too much to work out that he was actually wearing a seatbelt. So it still managed to get something like, it was on 8,000 likes this morning, and had plenty of people responding saying, "Oh, this is awful." So I can perfectly believe that this is entirely genuine and that people are this stupid.
I mean, I'll be blunt. I've been exposed to this stuff for the past year pretty solidly, and it's pretty genuine. Yeah, you got a mixture of trolls in there for sure, but it's genuine. So if you're not watching, if you're listening, which thank you for listening and thank you for watching. It's essentially just you got a pyramid shape of 50 in the middle for their 50th anniversary, and in the middle of the 0 is a rainbow. And, the rainbow is iconic for Pink Floyd because of Dark Side of the Moon and its Prism album cover, which was my first thought when I saw it. I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, oh, yeah, rainbow, Pink Floyd. Yep, okay. And then some of these highlight reactions. What's up with the rainbow? Lose the rainbow. You're making yourself look stupid. What is that? What is that? Pink Floyd? What a disgrace. From this moment, I don't listen to this band. Are you going woke with rainbows? Is there a straight flag? I want equal representation. Don't get me wrong. We should all be true to who we are. Peace. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say props to whoever did this logo. Because number one, the rainbow is part of the Pink Floyd legacy. And I hate to tell you this, but Pink Floyd's always been kind of a leftist band. I mean, say what you will about Roger Waters. Yeah.
Say it ain't so. Roger doesn't write politics into his music.
I know.
Say it ain't so. Oh my gosh.
Say what you will about Roger Waters. He seems like an absolute extreme egomaniac. But you know what?
Yeah.
He's also an open socialist.
Yeah. An unapologetic one at that.
Yeah. I am all for this logo change. Change it everywhere. I love seeing these guys show themselves. I absolutely am right here for it. Come on, guys. I want to know who you are. I want names.
Well, the thing is as well, even if they didn't change this logo, even if they kept the original album cover, that's also got a rainbow on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's like...
And certain reissuings have a little bit of a more light, darker blue space setting behind it, or as opposed to the pitch black of the original 73 release. But, I mean, I saw the prism, or at least the pyramid and the rainbow, and I go, oh, Dark Side. Oh, yeah. Their anniversary. Cool.
Yeah, no, and I think I said 50th anniversary of the band. No, this would specifically be the 50th anniversary of Dark Side of the Moon. So, of course, there would be a rainbow.
Dark Side of the Moon, yeah.
And I don't. I have that "Wish You Were Here" shirt, which
it makes me wonder. So does that mean you were stealing the music and just pirating it? So you've never seen the album cover? Do you buy it?
Well, what's more surprising is it's like one of the best-selling albums of all time. So the chances are this is in like half the people in the Western world's houses somewhere. Because wasn't it?
I guarantee.
I think it was.
Yeah, I can guarantee you the poster of this is at least in every 3 out of 4 teenagers' bedrooms. In the Western Hemisphere alone.
Well, I think the only...
Because I think it spent some ridiculous amount of time on the charts from the time it was released.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the #1 selling album for years.
I only have one Pink Floyd shirt, not counting the Wish You Were Here one, and it's a Dark Side shirt. And you know what it has on it? It has a rainbow on it. It has a...
Same thing. I have
because
one
it's Dark Side.
Other than the Wish You Were Here shirts I have. I have one Pink Floyd actual one, and it's Dark Side of the Moon. Actually, it is a tour, promoting Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah.
Wish You Were Here is a local tribute act that's
Yeah.
here in Ohio. That
They do a great
They
job,
go
by
and
the
they
way.
do like a full concert set of Pink Floyd. We saw them early last year, right?
Was it April? I want to say
April, yeah. And
God, time's going by so quickly.
Yeah, they were doing all of Animals in its entirety. So their second set just kind of opened with Animals and played most of Dark Side after that.
I was about to say they did most of Dark Side. There was like one track missing from Dark Side.
Yeah, they did. Like, I was kind of even impressed. Like, they are playing a lot of Dark Side, which like is cool. But I'm like,
I mean, they
wow.
didn't play it in order, but like you could reorganize that concert and boom,
easily
Dark Side.
But yeah, they do a very great job. They even have a lot of their own props, like a pig.
Mm-hmm.
They have an inflatable schoolmaster and a tiny little guy. I forget the doll from the wall. And,
here's a question for you: Does the pig have testicles or not?
It is never shown at quite the angle that we can see whether or not it does.
Because
and admittedly,
I don't know if you know this.
Yes, I know about the pig.
You know this story.
Yes.
Okay, now you do have to tell it.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it was when Roger Waters left the band. Obviously, he didn't leave under good circumstances, and there was a massive legal battle.
There's been drama under Pink Floyd. What?
Oh yeah, huge drama about who actually
Roger being
owned
difficult.
What. Yeah, because he maintained that he had written, I think, all the words to the songs. Anyway, that's besides the point.
Yeah.
The one legal battle they had was over the pig. Because they both wanted to use the pig in their live shows. And so I think this was the compromise they came to, wasn't it? Or this was the bone of contention, is that one group was suing the other over use of the pig, and one group maintained that it was a different pig because it had testicles.
Sure, why not?
Yeah. Yeah, I forget exactly which side was which in that, but that was just, the gist of that.
Pink Floyd is a drama-free band, though. That's what I love about them.
Yeah. That's what I love about this band, yeah. Now,
I did think it was weird when they released an album called under the band name Pink Floyd 1987, but it's okay.
there's some people who feel that like those years were the better years of the band.
Mm-hmm.
I think of them as just like a different permutation of it.
Oh,
it's still Pink Floyd.
I really like the later stuff. It's different, but I mean, you still got David Gilmour.
Yeah, and Rick and Nick are there too, or Richard rather.
Are you still there, Ryan?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah.
Okay, your camera. I think your camera locked up. Okay.
You're
oh, is it? Right. Yeah.
All right. So, anything we want to add, or do we want to go into talking about Ryan?
I mean, well, the only thing I think I'd like to add to it is, man, if all these people are mad over that logo change, let's really hope that they don't actually read about what the songs are about.
I know. I think Dane, actual fan.
That's all. Yeah, let's just hope.
When we were talking about it a little bit, he was like, "What did these people get? Like an instrumental version of The Wall? What?"
I don't. Possibly.
Yeah, that would
they have the symphony version. You should tell Dane they just have the symphony version of it, no lyrics.
Yeah,
it's just Tim Curry singing in the audience. You can't hear him though, but it's Tim Curry singing everything.
All right. You ready to talk about your channel a bit, Ryan? Did we actually lose him?
I don't know.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Hey, yes. There you are. Okay.
Hello. Sorry, I turned my camera off. I think that's interfering with my ancient laptop.
Oh, okay.
I hope that's not too much of an issue.
You just want to go cameraless then?
I think so. Yeah, I think
right.
I'm going to have to.
That is absolutely fine. Well, it's a podcast. It's an audio format thing. We do have it YouTube videos, but yeah. So tell us about your channel, Ryan.
Well, my channel, if you can see the logo that you've helpfully put up, but for those who are listening, it's called Nothing But Media on YouTube. I review any media that takes my fancy. So at the moment, it's mostly film and television that I've been reviewing. And specifically, I've been focusing on Columbo and Sherlock Holmes on a regular weekly pattern, but the occasional movie pops up there as well. I started it because I was watching a lot of content on YouTube over the pandemic, and I thought, it's good, but they're not saying what I want to say about media. So that's the genesis of why I started it. And took me a while to sort of find my footing, but yeah, that's where it all sprung from. And I'm up to just over 500 subscribers now, and I'm growing slowly, but still. All progress is good progress, and yeah, I'll have a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things. I would always recommend, if like you ever thought about doing a YouTube channel, just dive in. You're not going to be perfect when you start out, but you gotta, like you said, you gotta find your footing, and the best way to find your footing is to kind of throw yourself in there, see what happens. So yeah, so it's like, I would say, would mysteries be like your favorite genre to talk about then?
I think to talk about, probably, because I think it's something that everybody can enjoy in different ways. Some people sit there trying to solve them. Other people just like watching them unfold. It's probably not my favorite genre to watch, but certainly to talk about. It's one of the things that gives me enormous pleasure, and it seems to engage well with the audience as well, who do get a bit fanatical about the different characters that I cover.
Wait, there's fanatical fans on the internet? What? Huh? Huh?
I know, it's incredible. Yeah,
I've never. I don't believe you. I know. So you said mysteries aren't necessarily your favorite. What would be your favorite genre?
It varies depending on my mood, but I've always been a comedy guy. I've always liked comedy, and any type of comedy, really. So sitcoms, films, some stand-up, although most stand-up I find it more difficult to get into. But yeah, I would say comedy overall.
Awesome. So like, would be like if you could just name a couple of your go-to comedy movies, what would they be?
Comedy movies. Let's put me on the spot a bit, because now I'm trying to think what I really enjoy.
I told you I could stump them.
Yeah.
Well, there's the obvious ones, like obviously Airplane is a brilliant film.
Yeah.
Sorry, can I take just a brief pause? My dog's barking.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
About 2 minutes.
Oh my god, 2 minutes? 2 goddamn minutes.
Oh, hush.
Oh, but I want to complain. The internet's for complaining, right?
Save it for 4chan, man.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I asked him that question. Suddenly, it's got me thinking. Like,
it's got me. You got me wondering too.
Yeah, like
off the top of my head.
Yeah, like I'm leaning towards Top Secret,
Blues Brothers,
A Fish Called Wanda, and Funny Thing Happened on the Way to a Forum. 3 comedy movies I go to like all the time.
Animal House.
Yeah, I know. Animal House has got some questionable stuff nowadays, but
it does. It does. But
it is a classic. It's tough to
understand. I can understand that the context of the film is taking place in '58,
and it could have gone a lot worse with some
and
of it
not
stuff.
Get triggered by it.
Yeah,
and it could have gotten way worse.
I mean, there's the drunk girl where he's like, "Oh, should I take advantage of her?" And he doesn't. he doesn't.
Considering
like,
what was originally in the script,
Yeah.
yes, it could have gone way worse.
I don't know what I just walked into, but
no, he was just saying how his last question to you, like your top 3 go-tos, it got both of us thinking, like, what are ours?
Mhm.
And he had mentioned a few, and I said, well, Animal House is definitely one of them. We started talking about how a lot of stuff in that movie didn't really age that well, and it's like, well,
it's still
no,
a classic, but yeah,
it's still a classic, yes. But considering it's like the source writers of National Lampoons, these are the same guys who put on the cover of their magazine a guy holding a revolver next to a dog's head, like as a sense of a joke, saying, "Buy this magazine or we'll kill this dog."
Yeah, it gets very close to being as unacceptable as some of the films that copied it, doesn't it? But they sort of went a little bit further. But I mean, classics like that are on the list. I was, funny enough, speaking of National Lampoons and Animal House, I was always a big Chevy Chase fan, and so I really like actually Butch films, and certainly the first 3 National Lampoons vacation films that he did. I've got no love for Las Vegas, but I always thought he was a really good comedian. He's always been on my list, although Caddyshack I watched recently and it is not as good as I remember it.
No, Caddyshack is classic. Take it back.
Yeah. Well, I kind of agree with you. I kind of feel he phones that one in a little.
Well, it's got funny bits to it, but then it's also got a lot of filler, and I think having seen the behind the scenes, it had a lot of production issues where they didn't really know what they were doing.
They had a lot of partying issues, from what I understood about the production of the
Yeah.
Harold Ramis talks about Caddyshack as if like he was it was largely just like almost like filming like bits. Like there's that scene with Bill Murray and Chevy Chase, and that scene literally just exists because they were 2 big stars, and they're like, oh, we have these big stars in this movie, and they don't have a scene together. So there's just randomly a scene in that movie with the 2 of them talking, and it's funny, but it's like there is no point for that scene to exist. But it's there.
The last time they ever saw each other, they got into a bit of a tiff backstage at SNL. I think that was the first time they'd seen each other since that. I may be mistaken on that. But, it's interesting. Cause
Chevy Chase came back to host, and they got into a fist fight.
Bill was his replacement on SNL, so...
So naturally there was some resentment there, but...
Well, I mean, he did... I always thought he left SNL. Was he forced out, or... I just thought he left.
No, he chose to leave. It wasn't about that. It was, I think it was other issues that... because I think... Chevy Chase hasn't got the best reputation of being liked well.
I was about ready to bring that up. Chevy Chase has had a rep of just pretty much being an asshole on almost every project he's
Chevy
worked
Chase.
on. Yeah.
Well, I think it goes a bit 50-50, though, because some people absolutely love him and love working with him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There are people who love and absolutely, like you said, and have never seen any of that, and there are some that just, he rubs the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like people in general. That does happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you get people like that. And what I always found fascinating, and I think the movie would actually be more watchable now, knowing what we know, but they wanted him for American Beauty for the lead.
That's interesting. I think Spacey's a better actor, but it's also Spacey.
Yeah. He turned it down because he only wanted to do comedy, apparently. He wasn't interested in doing a more serious role. He didn't feel that it fit his persona, which is weird considering where his career was at in 99, but there you go. But yeah, I can definitely see it. I think it would have, like you said, it would have been a different, very different film. But yeah, also it wouldn't have suffered from reputationally as it has now.
Yeah. No, it's unfortunately become one of those those movies that it's tough to go back to, man. But Ryan, I guess, were there any comedies you thought of you wanted to bring up?
I'm trying to think if there are any other comedies, because that's the problem with sitcom, of course, is that a lot of our sitcoms never make it over there, and a lot of yours don't make it here either. So sitcoms is a bit more divisive because I was a big fan of the early days of Red Dwarf. Now I don't know if either of you are familiar with that show.
Yes,
I'm caught up to season 12.
Yeah, I didn't really like it past 6. I think when they took that break and when the writers went their separate ways, it never really recaptured the magic, although there are good episodes later on. But yeah, the first 6 series of that, I can remember I watched part of the first episode when it first aired. I was a little bit young for it, so I think I only caught the first 5 minutes. But that is the truth as well, because I know the actors of Red Dwarf say that if everybody that says they saw the first episode when it aired, it would have had a lot more viewing figures than it did.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I definitely didn't see it when it aired, but I will say, it sounds like I might have dove deeper than you guys did. There was definitely a lull period. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I remember the more recent seasons, although I stopped watching, so take it for what it's worth. The more recent seasons, I thought were getting better. So
yeah, I caught up on a couple of the more recent series, and the quality had definitely picked up, but still, it never quite recaptured the magic of the first initial 6. Which is a shame, but
yeah, no, it'll always be one of those classic series, though. Anything else you want to talk about your channel?
Other than to ask people listening to go and subscribe to the channel if they like what they see there. But yeah, I mean, I think I've said everything that I wanted to say about it.
Okay. Yeah, no, it is a cool channel. Everybody should check it out. Yeah, no. Like and subscribe to Nothing But Media. Like and subscribe to Organized Chaos Podcast. Like and subscribe to Bobby Quarters. Like and subscribe to Organized Chaos. Just hit all of them. Hit all of them. I'm terrible at doing that. Yes. Are we ready to talk about Rocky?
Yes.
Yep.
Rocky
Let's talk
3.
about going the distance again.
This is probably my second least favorite one, but I will say I do overall enjoy it.
Oh, come on. This has like the immortal Thunderlips and all of his love freaks.
True.
Attendance.
Yeah.
Man, watching him cut that pre-match promo was really rough.
It
was rough.
Yeah, it's a weird film, Rocky 3, because I think it works as a sequel in that it really does continue the story of the character. It just takes some big leaps, and I think maybe they take bigger leaps in 4, but honestly, I think the core of the story is a brilliant idea. It's a really creative way to keep that story running. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's he lets his ego get a bit ahead of him, and what I think is interesting is if you take the 6 Rocky movies, where Rocky is the lead character, put them all by themselves. We're not counting the Creed movies. What you essentially have is at the beginning you have 2 really solid movies, dramatic movies. And at the end, you have not solid, but 2 dramatic movies. And then in the middle, you have almost these much more formulaic, almost I want to say cheesier movies. And I will say, part of the reason why I enjoy Rocky 4 more is not because I think it's better than Rocky 3. I think in a lot of ways, Rocky 3 is better in that, it deals with emotions and stuff like that a lot better. It has much more thoughtful themes. But Rocky 4 just kind of knows, like, this is the Rocky formula, and we're going to do something really cheesy and dumb with it and go all in with it, which is something I feel like Rocky 3 is not quite ready to commit to.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it's because it sort of copies a couple of the elements of Rocky 3. It sort of it reworked it well. Another character dies, who has become Rocky's mentor, so that's sort of a repeating thing. And there's a boxer that thinks he can challenge Rocky, and then. But I also like the fact that in Rocky 3, Rocky is the arrogant one with all the tech,
yes,
and Clubber Lang is the one that's hungry. And then in Rocky 4, the only way he can win is by doing what Clubber Lang was doing, which is go back to his roots and and train hard by running up mountains.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think they do have some fun with the contrast, because we see Clubber Lang in his training, and he's like all like, you know, in a basement doing this hard work. And then you see Rocky kind of doing this like showboat training, and you got like bubbles and shit and an orchestra behind him. It's a
Mick
fun contrast they
mind.
do. Yeah. This is like I said, it's entertaining. I don't think this is a bad movie per se. I enjoy this movie. But I would say this is probably my least favorite of the Rocky movies I enjoy. And there are caveats in there, and there is definitely a worse one we will be getting to. Yeah, it's Creed,
Yeah, I
right?
think,
It's
like
Creed.
I said, well, I think it's so interesting of where else do you go with the character other than show him sort of reaching the top, and then how do you show his decline? Because if he just loses a lot and then wins, it's all unrealistic, because that's not really how boxing works. Whereas the story that Rocky 3 presents, I can imagine that is how the boxing world works for some of the fighters, where they will be given these easier matches, which they sort of almost guaranteed to win. And to be fair, sometimes they don't. But it's probably the best Rocky 3 you could have gotten without just retreading the first two.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. Well, that's, as much as I love the second one, there is a retread of the first one to a degree, and to the second one's credit, it does a fantastic job with it. But yeah, to Rocky's 3 credit, it's doing something different with its formula a bit. There's a bit of a tonal shift here. There's, I don't know if I want to say there's more comedy, because there's comedy in 2. I mean, you get that great line, "Hey, you want to invest in condominiums? I never use them." But yeah,
and it could have been worse, because a couple of years later it could have been Rocky 3D.
Oh God! Well, I mean,
if there was more time in between sequels, if it would have done it in like the early to mid '90s, the only option would have been space, Rocky in space.
Well, they need to do Rocky in space.
Actually, you don't have to think of it. I would watch that. They'd need a Rocky in space.
Why wouldn't you do a Rocky in space? Come on. Actually, you got me curious. When was this made in comparison to Jason Friday the 13th Part 3D?
I based the space comment off of Leprechaun 4, which is the one they went to space.
Yeah, I was trying to think when Jaws 3D was, and it might have been around the same time.
It might have been. Because Jason 3D was Friday the 13th 3.
Yeah, Friday the 13th Part 3 and Rocky 3 were the same year, so they could have done Rocky 3D. To see the punch coming right at you.
Whoa!
Oh my God, I feel like I'm actually in a boxing match and this sucks.
Albert Lane is growling at me.
What is the Hulk doing standing over me? I was kind of curious.
And of course...
Oh, go ahead, Ryan.
No, you go on.
No, I was just wondering. I was just pondering if Hulk Hogan was actually 7 foot. I have no idea what his actual height is.
That's the funny thing about the Hulkster. He rarely tells the real truth. He just tells the Hulkster's truth. There's like a long legend.
I know he claimed to have the biggest arms in the world, didn't he?
Yeah, he also claimed that Elvis would watch his matches when he wrestled in Memphis a whole 2 years after Elvis died. But he's the Hulkster.
Yeah, I don't think he is 7 foot. I don't think he's far off. He's
6'7".
Yeah, I was about ready to say, according to Wiki, he's 6'7".
Yeah, build 302 pounds. Yeah, that's.
So I think
seems about right.
I mean, I don't think there'd be that huge a height discrepancy between him and Sylvester Stallone. So they probably had him on a box or something for a couple of those shots.
Yeah, or probably had some lifts in his boots to make him a little bit taller.
Yeah.
Yeah, how tall is Stallone? Because I thought Stallone was
5'10".
not that tall.
Okay, so then that would be
Sylvester Stallone is shorter than I am? This has caused my whole...
Yeah, I didn't think he was tall. I was just thinking... Well, I was just thinking of Rocky 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because Dolph Lundgren really dwarfs him in that. And I don't think Dolph Lundgren's 7 foot, certainly not. But, yeah, little guy. So that's Stallone.
I do think it's interesting. We're used to, just because movie stars are typically tall, we're looking at 5'10" as little guy.
Yeah.
5'10" is not particularly short at all. It's not even short. I think that's above average still.
What is it? Isn't Tom Cruise 5'8"?
Tom Cruise is 4'11".
4'11". He's a wee little man.
Yeah, he's always on boxes. Yeah,
I was just going to add, though, as well, Mr. T is an absolute revelation in this film.
Oh, yeah.
Considering this was his first acting role, wasn't it?
I believe so, yeah.
Because wasn't he Stallone's bodyguard?
I'm not sure about that. I know that he had done, commercials as the character of Mr. T.
Mm-hmm.
But, I don't know if that was before or after this.
No, but yeah, he does work as kind of like the up and comer. Yeah, I want to take a shot at the champs. He works as that character, kind of like you know he's bad news, so you kind of don't want him to win. But when he does win, you kind of get the sense of he kind of deserved that.
Well, I think ultimately the problems with the Rocky films after the first one is that you kind of know he's always going to win. So when you see Clubber Lang beat him and you're like, this is 45 minutes into the film. I don't think this is the ending.
Yeah, that would be a huge problem because once you have Clubber Lang beat him at the 45-minute mark, you're like, okay, I know how the movie ends. Yeah, of course, ends with Rocky losing the title permanently. He never gets it back.
But then that's a problem with all sports movies, isn't it? With
Thunder Lips comes back. Disqualification.
It becomes the Thunder Lips franchise.
Yeah, I mean, with the exception of Bad News Bears is probably the only one I can think of where they don't win at the end.
Yeah. In sport movies where they don't.
Movies.
Oh, yeah.
Sporting movies.
Where they.
I mean,
Bad News Bears.
Well, Rocky wins in most of them, but obviously,
he doesn't win in the
4
first.
and 6 would be the ones where he loses.
And 1.
I'm sorry, yeah, not 4 and 6. 1 and 6. He wins in 4. Spoiler. He wins in 4.
Yeah, he wins in 4.
He doesn't just win; he wins the Cold War.
Yeah. The fucking Cold War is
single-handedly.
Yeah,
he ended it.
Thank God for Rocky Balboa.
Yeah, Reagan just took the credit by giving that speech.
Fucking Reagan, always taking credit from Rocky.
That old Jerry acting.
Let's see. Anything you guys want to add to Rocky before we go on to Empire Records?
Nah.
No, that about does it for me.
All right. So, Empire Records. It's been a while since I've seen this, but this might be the most 90s movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely a time capsule.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun, but wow, this was 90s.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, as well, a complete flop on release. huge flop.
Yeah.
I knew it had a cult following, though, because I saw it later on DVD, because I used to start seeing it, like, copies of it just popping up all over on home media and be like, oh, I should check this out. I knew lots of my friends had it. So I checked it out, and I enjoyed it. It's a fun little quirky movie. Like I said, super 90s. Kevin Smith would watch this and go, man, I can't be that 90s.
I can do better.
Well, yeah, I think it came out at roughly the same time as Mallrats as well, and I actually saw them on TV in a season of films by indie filmmakers, up and coming indie filmmakers in the sort of, I guess you'd call this a teen movie genre. So I will always have them connected in my mind that way. But it definitely is 90s. But then also some of the music in there does harken back to past times, and I got to imagine those were snuck in against the wishes of the movie company. The older songs.
I mean, it's
you
mostly
got a bit of
90s
Dire
songs,
Straits in there.
Yeah, you got Dire Straits, Romeo and Juliet, which I think this is the movie where I first heard that song, because, great
that's the
song.
first time I heard that song.
Me
and
too,
then AC/DC's If You Want Blood, You Got It, which is one of my favorite AC/DC songs.
Prior.
And even though I think it's a cover, you've also got Hey Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Which, I mean, obviously it plays into the owner being Joe, which I sometimes wonder if they named him Joe just so they could play that song.
It does make you wonder, doesn't it?
His name was Frank.
Yeah, and then they came across some Jimi Hendrix.
Perfect.
But yeah, I guess
played by the wonderful Anthony LaPaglia.
Yeah,
or LaPaglia, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
who is
he was awesome, and I was looking at this poster because this is the famous image from the movie. This poster, and I'm like, why is he not there? This is all like, I guess, the kids.
Yeah,
because it's aimed at teens.
Oh.
Teens don't want to see an old man.
They don't want the old rocker on there.
Well, I did think it was interesting, like the credits. I think Debbie Mazar is credited second after Anthony LaPaglia, and Anthony LaPaglia has a pretty big role, so I get that. But then Debbie Mazar, like, she's there, and she's not, she's fairly prominent, but like on the cover here, we got Liv Tyler, Renee Zellweger, and Robin Tunney. Much bigger characters in the movie. Significantly.
Yeah. But I think all of these were fairly new to the game. I think this was just after Rory Cochrane had been in Dazed and Confused.
Yeah. Actually, I'm happy you brought that up, because while I was watching it, the opening shots with him, I'm looking at it going, is that fucking Slater? Yeah. And I was like Googling it going, holy shit, that is Slater.
I mean,
cleans up nice.
Yeah.
And that's the first time in a movie that I've ever seen him, obviously before Oculus, with like such short hair, because the only other movie that I had seen him in prior, other than Dazed and Confused, was Richard Linklater's other movie, Scanner Darkly, which he's in too, and he plays kind of the really strung out friend out of all of them, though all of them are pretty strung out, but he was pretty bad. I don't know if you've seen that Bob, or
Scanner Darkly, yes.
Yeah.
It's been a while though. Yeah, but yeah, no, it's essentially, if you don't know, it's an animated movie where there's live actors and it's like animated over them. It's an interesting idea.
Film, I think. Yeah, they animated over the film.
I think it's called rotoscoping. It's most famous in the Aha video for Take On Me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where they filmed live actors and then draw over the top, which apparently is more time consuming than regular animation.
I did not know that.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I saw Dazed and Confused around about the same time, and I sort of, again, lumped them all together in my mind as these movies, these sort of mid-90s movies where I call them movies where nothing happens, because it's low stakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, essentially the stakes in this movie are, at the beginning, Lucas finds out that Anthony LaPaglia as Joe is going to sell the record store to Music Town, I believe is the name. And he doesn't want to be part of a franchise. So since he's closing, he takes the money out of the store that he's supposed to drop in the bank, takes it to a Trump casino, which not a good idea right there.
Yeah, I laughed at that. I was chuckling at that.
Yeah. I was just like, yeah. Also,
look at this gaudy thing. This must be a Trump Plaza. Oh, hey, look, it is a Trump Plaza. How did I guess that?
But he takes it there, he loses it all, and then you find out Joe. Yeah. Well, he doubles it. He's got a point where he could walk away. And then he's like, you know what? I'm gonna gamble it again, and then he loses it. But yeah, and then Joe finds out that he gambled it all away, and then you find out from Joe, oh yeah, that was money I was saving, so I wouldn't have to do that. But now I do have to do that, and that's the whole conflict. Will this be an independent record store, or will it be a part of a chain? Mm-hmm. And there's some things I even forgot about. Like, I forgot that when you go into a record store, you could frequently listen to at least like the album, or at least clips from the album or stuff. That was common. Yeah. I forgot about that. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I know that the mall, like one of the bigger malls around here, used to have a Virgin record store, and they had that there. Mm-hmm. They had those set up, but it was always like whatever the top 20 or whatever selling albums, though. But they had other ones where you could scan the barcode, and if they had them available, they didn't. That didn't do me many favors wanting Primus in those days, but they didn't have.
Yeah, no, I remember the barcode one specifically because you'd scan it and usually you'd get it would always depend how much you get. Sometimes you get like a few seconds from each track. Sometimes you just get like maybe the hits, and sometimes it just goes, nope.
And sometimes you get the full album.
Yeah. It was always kind of a guessing game. But yeah.
Well, I have some insider knowledge because I actually worked in an HMV a few years after I'd seen this film, and we had listening posts where we would put the top sort of 5 singles out that people could stand by and listen to, but we also had a CD player by the counter that you could bring any album up to and listen to as much of it as you wanted.
Nice.
Nice.
Well, that type of thing was probably... I was going to say that type of thing was probably easier with CDs specifically, too, because like vinyls, it's always like drop the needle in the right spot and all that stuff. And vinyls are great, but CDs will be easier because of the digital format.
Also a chance that people could scratch them going to or coming from the listening places. And but it's funny, isn't it? Because the sort of plot of this movie is that this independent record shop is going to get taken over by one of the big chains, and now all the chains have almost all gone out of business.
Yeah.
So it's really a time capsule of an era that probably kids growing up today will not really have the same idea of, because they were independent record stores all over.
Yeah, and you don't get too much of the independent record stores anymore. I don't even know if there's even big chains anymore. There used to be huge stores, though.
I know that places like Best Buy hardly sell physical media anymore. Can't get music there at all.
Yeah,
I had asked, and one of them asked me, what do you mean? What's a CD? I mean, that also made me feel very old, too. But, I mean, we have vinyl. No, you have reproduction vinyl. You don't have real vinyl, but that's just me being an audiophile snob. But
well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, Best Buy is the best way you could really see how this is happening, because Best Buy used to be like half physical media easily. DVDs,
like a third of the store,
CDs,
third of the store,
easy. And now it's like maybe you have like one area for like your 4Ks and your Blu-rays, and then maybe one area for your music, and then everything else is like cell phone, washers and dryers, TVs. The media part is like almost gone. The media.
Yeah. there's like a whole the one by me, like a whole third of the store is dedicated solely to computers. Solely to computers. The other third is appliances and car stereos.
I also want to stress Best Buy also isn't. It doesn't have the best selection of computer stuff, and it usually doesn't have the best prices, and you can usually find that online.
No. Nor for camera equipment either.
Yeah, it's kind of it's mostly missed whenever I go there and decide to look at that stuff. It's like, nothing here is great. Nothing here.
Yeah, I look for like bags, like my camera bag I got there.
But yeah, it's like I think Best Buy is kind of the best way to see how like it's changed. Like something like the record store scene in this, like the main setting for this whole movie, it's a relic of the past, which is fascinating. Like, and it's like, God, I kind of miss it. But even if there were one around here, I don't know how often I would go because digital music is so convenient. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I still love physical media, but there's very little of it now that I get from the shops because they don't stock the same ranges. You can find anything online, and it's a lot easier than going in, and if they don't have it, ordering it and then coming back a couple of weeks later when it does come in. So it's no surprise, and it's strange that we haven't seen a bit of a resurgence of record shops, independent ones, which cater to the vinyl enthusiasts, as that's grown up again.
Now, there are quite a few of those in my neck of the woods. Like, there's quite a few, especially around, because I live near a college campus. So naturally, there's a lot of those because there's a bunch of, like, that part of town's actually really interesting in Ohio. Like around the Columbus and the OSU area, like, it's kind of a combination of, like, football enthusiasts, or, like, college, the OSU enthusiasts, and like either old Columbus people who have lived there since like the 60s or the 70s, and mix of old hippies. So you get a good plethora of old shops like that, but there's like a lot of old record shops. There's one that is pretty much also, it doubles as a small wave radio, and they'll play like local bands, like bands that aren't like really making too many shows but still are putting out music. We're even doing a lot of local shows. There's another one that has been open for years, and it is definitely like a one-stop shop actually for all like bachelor pad, young rock and roll lifestyle type of people. They got CDs, records, posters, t-shirts, the whole gambit, patches, stickers. And that's like, there's a lot of those, but when you find those stores, it is nice. I'd say that the one that is in Columbus is called a Magnolia Thunder Pussy.
That's it. I was trying to think there's something Thunder Pussy in Columbus I was going to ask.
Yeah,
if
there's
that's
also used. There's also used kids records. There's one right across the street from my work called Lost Weekend Records, which like I've gone in there looking for an album. I was looking for one album in particular. I was looking for a Jimi Hendrix compilation album, one of him playing blues, like just a couple of blues tracks and a few live recordings of him just doing a blues cut of a song. And I couldn't find it, and I asked him if he has, I could order it for you. He's like, oh, cool, can I pay for it now? I'm like, yeah, just pay for it now, and you can come pick it up. I didn't think to say I wanted the CD, but I got it on vinyl anyways, and I mean, it still sounds great, like really great, and it's awesome, but there's still those small ones, and, they could get you what you need. So when you find one, I say definitely, suit it out, because I know there's at least 4 or 5 in the Columbus area.
Well, I think what Magnolia Thunder Pussy has kind of an advantage of, because even if I don't know how well that location does, but even if it doesn't do great, right next to it, and I always assumed it was owned by the same people, there's a bar called Scully's that gets decent live
music
performers. Yeah, like not obviously not A tier, but like a lot of decent names, like go through there, and you can get some pretty cool shows there. I've been there a couple times for a concert, and they've been pretty good.
Yeah, and you could even get like a lot of local acts will go through Scully's too, and it is the advantage of it. And I know some of the people who work at Magnolia Thunder Pussy. I think that they're the owners now, and they used to own both, but they sold the bar.
Oh, really?
So they don't always anymore. Yeah, but it's still they still own Magnolia, and that's still they're still pretty happy.
But did you guys know there's a movie we're talking about? Yeah, no, I feel like we went down this memory lane on like physical media and CDs
stores.
and stuff, and yeah, there's a movie.
Yeah, well, it's just nice to hear they're still going. But
they are. Yeah, it is really cool because the one that we were talking about, you walk in there, you smell incense burning immediately. It is kind of a nice little nostalgia trip.
Because to bring it back to the movie in a seamless segue,
perfect.
The record store, the location, it seems like such a great place. I wish there were places like that I could have gone to at that age. And but in terms of the film itself, though, the cast list is pretty remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
The people that are
a ton of people before they are famous.
Yeah.
I mean, Renee Zellweger is the one that stands out the most because I think Liv Tyler was kind of considered a rising star when this came out. Like, she wasn't like household, but like kind of known. Renee Zellweger was a nobody when this came out.
Well, yeah, and of course Liv Tyler's father, Steven Tyler, which
no way
helps.
No.
But yeah, Renee Zellweger was virtually unknown. I don't know if this was before or after she had done Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4, I think it was, that she was in. With a young Matthew McConaughey. But yeah, certainly around that time. So yeah, her Robin Tunney as well, who
I think this
didn't
is
have
before
quite
The
the
Craft,
career.
right? I want to say it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Ryan.
And the male stars, while not as famous, none of them became as famous. They all had pretty strong careers since then. Rory Cochrane, which we've already mentioned, he went on to be in a CSI series for a little while, much later on. But did either of you see the 2006 movie he did about a chemical terrorist attack called... I struggle with the title of it, but hang on a sec. Right at Your Door.
No.
Yeah,
it was a small film. It's basically him and Mary McCormack for the whole film, and really strong sort of indie movie. But yeah, he's had a decent career. Ethan Embry as well, the who plays Mark with the C. He was in That Thing You Do.
Yes.
He was
been even longer.
He was the original bassist.
Yeah, but yeah, I can visualize him there.
And he crops up in TV every now and again as well. And
he was also in the movie Can't Hardly Wait, the another teen comedy that was about seniors on their graduation night at a house party. It's in there with Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Yeah, a whole bunch of movies I haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah.
And he's in Grace and Frankie at the moment, or he was in the majority of those episodes. Yeah, so good actors, good solid actors, and I mean even who I thought would go on to a bigger success, Johnny Whitworth, who plays AJ in it. I definitely thought he was going to be the male breakout star, and then he didn't really do a lot. The last thing I saw him in was Ghost Rider 2.
Oh, God.
Which
because
he plays the character that becomes Blackout in that, and
I will give it to the directors of Ghost Rider 2. They're creative, but it's not a good movie. I will probably have to cover it at some point.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I was disappointed that it wasn't better than it was, considering they had just come off Crank 2, I think, which I really enjoyed, even though it's insane. So it's a really good young cast, and then making an appearance who I never thought I would see in a film is Guar.
Yes. I was like, God, I totally forgot. Wait, is Guar actually here? It's like, yeah, they're listed in the cast.
Is that actually Guar?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, I mean, metal was pretty big in the 90s.
It was.
Yeah, so it kind of makes sense to have a little bit of metal in
I
there.
completely disagree with what they said, with what the other guy, Eddie, was saying about Primus. He is totally wrong.
Oh, yeah, the mid-credit scene. I was like, okay, my favorite band
Totally
they
wrong
mentioned is
about
Primus.
Primus.
Well, I guess their bass line's fine. Yeah? Are you serious?
Yeah, come on, man. He's not. Where are they going to be in 10 years? Still around.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody knows who Les Claypool is. You got him.
Yeah, and the Pixies actually are still touring too, so I mean...
yeah. This...
I don't know if you noticed in the... I don't know if you noticed in the Gua scene, I don't know if it was the same on your version of it, but on the British version, the more sexual elements of the Gua show were actually digitally blocked out.
Really? I didn't look that carefully at the Gua
show.
I
didn't notice any of the sexual elements. Just this giant, mouth hole puppet thing ate him, and that was the end of the scene.
It's only something I noticed on repeat viewings, but I also noticed, and I can't help thinking that maybe this movie was originally going for a slightly higher rating, but the scene where I think it's Eddie, the guy with the long hair, gives Mark the pot brownie, basically, and says that the reason he's tripping is because it's got lots of sugar in it, in a 80-yard line, which I'm sure is an effort to disguise the fact that
it's a pot brownie.
It's supposed to be a pot brownie.
I thought that was kind of
like
funny because it was obviously a pot brownie, and it didn't occur to me that maybe they're trying to cover that up for the the ratings.
He did say it's it's my special recipe, so you know what that means, lots of sugar.
I just turned out sure. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the lots of sugar line is actually ADR. It's either off screen or it's
we don't see it come from. We don't see his mouth moving. Yeah.
I didn't have interested to check that one out now. Let's see. Anything we want to add about Empire Records? I mean, there's not much of a story here, but it's mostly just it's like a time capsule movie.
Yeah, day in the life, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's kind of a lot like Clerks and Mallrats in that sense, where it's just a literal day in the life of these people.
Yes.
Well, I've got a couple of more things to say, which I don't know if
you may say one more. But, no, go nuts.
One more.
So make it count.
Yeah. Pick the good one.
Well, obviously, I told you when I was talking about discussing this film, there is a longer cut available, which is like an extra 27 minutes, which I wouldn't bother with because it's too long for this type of film. But there was apparently 40 minutes cut from the film, the original cut, because it was supposed to take place over 2 days. So there are a couple of actors who don't actually appear in the film, but were supposed to, and one of them was Tobey Maguire.
No,
his entire role. His entire role was cut out of the film when they reduced it to a 90-minute movie, and when they reduced it to taking place over 1 day. And he doesn't reappear in the extended cut either. There are some additional characters in that extended cut, but he's not one of them, which is kind of a weird thing.
Or Toby.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing to mention is, and I don't know if you're familiar with this, but on the internet now, there is a Rex Manning Day.
Yes.
There is.
It takes place on the day that the film takes place on. It's Rex Manning Day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the 8th of April every year is celebrated on various social media sites as Rex Manning Day. And of course,
I don't celebrate it because fuck that guy.
No, he was a stand-up fellow. Rex Manning was a great guy. What are you talking about?
Yeah, he certainly wasn't a piece of crap.
Yeah. What?
And as additional trivia element, apparently the reason they chose the 8th of April to be the day it's set on is because that's the day that Kurt Cobain was found dead.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I did not know that one at all.
I knew that one.
So it's kind of a sly dig at the character of Rex Manning to have him turn up in all his sort of. It's a fascinating character to have in this film because he just seems so at odds with the rest of the film's aesthetic.
Yeah,
definitely. He's like this sort of washed up pop singer.
Mm-hmm. Who's trying, he's looking for relevance by being a bit more into the rock genre, but like it's obviously doesn't suit him at all. I mean,
no.
And I think Maxwell Caulfield does a great job of playing him as well.
He's such a sleazy character. Yeah, he does a good job with it. All right. So, are we ready for? Oh, Fast and Furious. Fast and Furious.
Why? Is there a new one coming out? Is that why we're covering these?
Yes.
Oh, good lord.
We'll see what
There's always a new...
Yeah, we're going to...
There's always a new Fast and the Furious film coming out.
It's been a while since I went through and watched the older ones. I enjoy these movies, not because they're great art, but because they're kind of dumb. They're kind of... And when I mean kind of dumb, I mean they're pretty fucking dumb. I would actually say for the first one, 2001, right here, none of these actors knew that they would still be playing these characters now.
No.
One of the issues I would have with this movie is that it's a fairly serious movie, which doesn't help the fact that
they play it completely straight.
Yeah, they're like. When you have Vin Diesel at the end scene in a barbecue talking about family in the newer movies, I almost feel like there's almost a tongue-in-cheek quality to how they're always doing this all the time. And you don't get that one here. And like this isn't even the worst one. But this one does not thrill me at all. It's fine. Like essentially it's like a not quite as good Point Break. It could have been a lot worse. I forgot Ted Levine was in this. Ted Levine is always fun to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good in everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think it seemed like this film was trying to appeal to an audience that never really existed. Like, I've got a friend who loved it because he loves cars and seeing the fast cars.
I had a friend who loved it because he was into cars, yeah.
Yeah, same.
Mm-hmm.
But that is not a big demographic of people, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it appeals to teenagers that much because, I mean, Vin Diesel has always looked about 40.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
And he must have been quite young when he was doing this.
Yeah, I mean, he looks about the same now, so he must have been on the younger side. Like, he couldn't have been... If he's 30, he can't be much past 30 when he did this. Does make me wonder.
But yeah, he hasn't really aged for the last sort of 10 years, but that's because he looked that old age for the previous 10 years.
Yeah.
So he was 34 when he did this.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, he looks 34, but he also looks 40 and, 45. So, yeah, this is, like I said, I kind of summarized a lot of my thoughts already. This is it's like flashy. It's got lots of cars in it, lots of NOS in it. It's this whole thing where Vin Diesel and his crew are stealing DVD players.
Well, they're hijacking trucks.
Yes.
They're hijacking trucks.
DVD player shipments.
Probably at that time, VHS players as well.
Probably some of those there, yeah.
The VHS DVD combos, man. That's top dollar.
Yeah, big money. Actually, to my understanding, those ones are still the DVD VHS combo players are still kind of valuable because they're so rare.
Yeah, they are. I think I still have my old one.
Mm-hmm.
I think it still works.
But I mean, the only thing that really stands out about this is the line that I think was in all the trailers, and used for all the promotional material about living his life a quarter of a mile at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really make any sense when you think about it.
No.
No.
Because it doesn't mean anything.
No, like
it doesn't.
Like, we're going to talk about how Empire Records was like a snapshot of like the 90s. And this movie is almost like a snapshot, but it's very particular. It's like a snapshot of 2001 specifically.
Yeah.
Because like when it came out, I saw it and I thought it was good. And I know there was people who loved it. And I don't think it's aged great. But somehow we still have Fast and the Furious movies still coming out every year. That being said, I will say, like, there's a point, like, with 5 and 6 where I felt like the franchise really found its own footing, where it got, like, really entertainingly dumb. But it has to find that spot.
Was it 4 that Vin Diesel came back for?
4 was when he came back for, like, a major role, but he has a cameo in 3.
And then he's not in 2 because he gave up on this and the Triple X franchise because he thought he was going to be a huge star and then wasn't.
Well, I always thought it was strange because Triple X seemed like the vehicle really meant to build Vin Diesel into like a franchise, and it ended up being this one.
Yeah, eventually, because he came back for Triple X as well, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he was in the third one.
Yeah,
he
didn't do the second one.
No,
he didn't do the second one. No,
that was Ice Cube.
Yeah.
Yes,
but, it was. It's a really strange history of cinema. The Fast and the Furious sort of series.
Oh yeah,
they are.
They made the first one.
They are, and I think you both hit on good points with like the audience that this was definitely made for. It exists, few and far between, but it definitely exists. There is like a strong fandom with these movies that it's kind of amazing to see like that many dedicated people to it. Also, it's like the same amount of fans who can also drop the type of money on having cars like the ones that they see in this movie. Considering we give rough estimates on how much like that alone costs just to put in the vehicle.
Well, that's the thing. There's lots of street racing in this movie, and they talk about the street racing, and it's like how well you do is pretty much based on how much money you pump into your car. And they bring that up a lot. Oh, so they put the X amount in here, you can't win.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of flashy cars and showing off. It's not like, we aren't even dealing with like athleticism or anything like that. We're dealing with people who make sure to hit the NOS at the right time and you'll win, essentially. Tweak your cars in other ways. This is not a deep movie, is it? I don't know if even now I'd even necessarily call it a bad movie. It's kind of forgettable. Like, I watched this earlier today, and I'm kind of like, yeah, there was stuff that happened. For sure.
I kind of forgot about the whole drama between Vin Diesel's gang and the other gang of street racers.
Yeah, actually, until I rewatched it earlier today, I had forgotten about that. I had forgotten about the main conflict of this movie. I was just thinking the main conflict was the fact that, a spoiler alert for a 22-year-old movie, Brian Walker...
Paul Walker.
Paul Walker, yeah. Brian is the character, yeah. I was like, I said that doesn't sound right. Paul Walker's character is a cop, and he's undercover with Vin Diesel's gang. And when I first watched it, I thought it was a decent twist until I saw Point Break and went, oh, it's the same movie. But yeah.
I'll say that the reveal in here is done a little... I kind of like how they did the reveal of that in this bit more than Point Break, I will say.
Yeah, well,
this movie totally copied the formula.
Oh, yeah. No, and that's, I don't enjoy this as much as Point Break, and Point Break is not like a brilliant movie either. So, but both of these are entertaining. But yeah, I like the whole thing where Brian gets arrested, and then you see that the cops haul him off to this house, and then he's like, God, these handcuffs are tight. And then, they're not even winking to the camera when they're doing this. It's like the handcuffs are tight. They're taking the cuffs off, and at first you're like,
right.
What? I'm confused. And then you realize, oh shit, he's a cop. I I remember when I first watched it, I thought that was a cool
cop.
reveal. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was more talking about that reveal too, but the reveal that he gave to Vin Diesel for it at the end.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I kind of feel that was like done better.
Yeah.
Just to save the guy who has been giving him nothing but a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
He saved that man's life.
Yeah.
Like,
and the smart move would have been to let him die.
Yeah. But I know that actor also comes back later in the series.
Oh, yeah. No, everybody comes back. And I know even watching these with them fresh in your mind, characters will be coming back. And you're like, wait, I think I remember them, but I don't.
Even if they die in the die in the film.
Even if they die.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, so it's like they Scream 3 this, like we'll see a character dead, but then later he's the culprit, or, they'll just be back.
Well,
in this.
Bobby, I know you said you haven't seen a whole lot of these movies. I'm going to tell you straight ahead as we dive in, and we'll see how far we get. Because I know I have to clear out a lot of space.
I'll let you know when they're brand new to me, and it will be after 2, because I've only seen the first 2.
They play with the timeline in these movies. I'm not shitting you.
Okay, well, I figure that. Well, wait, do they play with it as badly as Superman plays with timelines?
There's no time travel per se in any of these movies, although I won't put it past them at this point. They get ridiculous. But there's lots of playing with the timeline. Lots of movies where it's like, oh, this takes place here. This takes place here. This takes place here.
Okay.
Like, I think...
And isn't the next one going to be in space?
Well, actually, 9 already had a scene in space.
Oh, it did.
Yes, no. Everybody hated that one. I loved it for how dumb it was. It was just like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I love it.
I mean, I love.
Well, I think once they got to the point where they realized how dumb the concept was, and to just go with that and make it as stupid as possible, that's when it really regained its popularity. Which is, it's amazing they got the first 4 out, really, when you consider. The first one did pretty well. The second one, I think, was a complete bomb, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think the second one did well. I think the third one was an attempt to be like a pseudo reboot, and I don't think it was particularly successful. But they didn't. It was pretty much a fresh crew, so I don't think it was as expensive to make. And I will say this: of the first 3, my favorite is probably the third one, if I remember correctly. And then,
I believe it bombed, but not as badly as they thought it would.
Mm-hmm. And then, 4 brings everybody back, and it's a bit of a slog, as I remember. And then 5 is just so much fun. But yeah, it's so weird. This franchise, as much as I say I enjoy this franchise overall, and I do, the fact that this franchise even exists is kind of shocking, even looking at the history. It's like, okay, we're going to keep going with we're going to keep going with these movies. Okay, we're going to get dumb and okay. And here we are. Fast 10 coming out soon.
All right.
Now,
it feels in some ways like it's sort of the serious version of the Sharknado series.
Yes. Yeah, it's like, let's do one of those, but we're gonna play it serious, guys.
We're gonna be absolutely deadpan honest.
Yeah. I guess.
And to be fair, Vin Diesel.
Oh, go ahead.
Vin Diesel is perfect for that sort of format. Because he doesn't play it with any sort of tongue-in-cheek. He plays it straight down the line, deadly serious, and it's for the audience to decide what they're having fun with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If you're thinking, hey, these guys don't seem to have particularly super strong opinions on the first Fast and Furious movie, it's because I think we're all in agreement we don't.
I think that's fair. I think you'll either like it or you won't.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not a good reflection of where the franchise goes. I mean, aesthetically, yes, but like and as far as tone and just overall quality, not particularly. Like, there's so many camera shots that Rob Cohen, who I believe directed this one, like the way he'll do like a blurry, like slow-mo shot for no reason, which I feel like he does even without like recording extra frames so it looks smoother. He'll do stuff like that and it doesn't work. There's lots of like 2001's kind of late 90s style stuff he does here, which I'm not a super big fan of, but is a sign of the times. But yeah, this movie exists. It is fine. And let's see, anything you guys want to add before we close out?
No. We're gonna keep chugging on with this series, and then I'm just
eventually we got. I think we're going to. We got a couple weeks till we do the next one. So
Oh, thank goodness.
I know. I'm not. Listen, 2 is not the worst one, but 2 is. I've only seen it once, and I did not like it, at all. But yes. So next week, what do we have next week? Oh yeah, we're gonna do the first 3 episodes of Last of Us, which I'm excited to see because I'm hearing lots of good things about it.
So am I.
Yeah, and then we got Rocky IV, which that's gonna be some beautiful cheese. And then we got Mandalorian Season 3 coming out, so we're gonna go ahead and go over the first 4 episodes of the whole series. Does that sound good to you, Bobby?
Yeah.
All right.
Didn't we cover those already?
I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure we did cover Mandalorian.
Well, maybe we will be changing it. We will see. I didn't think we did. But, my memory is not great. You're going to have me look this shit up.
Maybe.
Well, it's one of those things where you really want to see Too Fast, Too Furious, and you're like, we're going to pull this up.
No, I really don't want to. I mean, I would rather make you rewatch The Room than,
I don't object to ever watching The Room. I don't. It's not a good movie, but oh my god, that movie is fun.
No, it's not a good movie at all.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I can't find out off the top of my head. You got me wondering a lot. We will find out if we switch it out for something else. We will. You'll know next week. Okay. But I don't think we have. But yeah, everyone.
I could also be mistaken.
Ryan, thank you for joining us. Please subscribe to Ryan's YouTube channel, Nothing But Media. Subscribe to Bobby Quarter. Subscribe to Organized Chaos Podcast. Oh, it's over there. It's over there. And then subscribe to Organized Chaos. Yes.
Yes.
Everyone, have a good one.
Take care.
Thanks, bye.
Books, records, films, these things matter. Call me shallow. It's the fucking truth.